What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. In this one, I'm going to be going over the three newest additions for the Michigan Wolverines football team, as well as a couple of other names of interest to look out for as possible signings as well. If you are new here, if you like the content, consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it, but I'm not going to beg either, so you do you. But with that, I want to get right into it. First name up, Jamie French, wide receiver from Texas. He is a freshman. He's got tons of eligibility left, so that's obviously nice. Former five-star recruit. Michigan definitely went after him heavy out of high school. He fits the athletic profile that they want. He's a little bit on the taller side, has room for growth with weight and strength, but he's only 18 years old right now, well, maybe 19, so plenty of room for growth. So there's no worry on that end. He only had one reception for 6 yards for Texas this year, but that's really not a huge deal. Texas had a good receiving core, so it makes sense to stash some guys. But he was a heavily recruited five-star just a season ago. So I personally think that because of the athletic profile he possesses, because of his style of play, and because of his high ceiling, I personally think that French probably steps in day one as wide receiver 2. And you can say that might be wishful thinking because of his lack of experience, but at the same time, Andrew Marsh was a freshman, and he put up monster numbers for only playing on a consistent basis, maybe 8 games out of the 12 out of the 13. So if Andrew Marsh had played that much and that successfully all season, he probably could have gotten to 1,000 yards. Who knows? So his lack of collegiate experience doesn't really bother me too much. He just has that skill set that they would require, and so getting him to me is a big deal. I know he's not, that lack of experience might turn some people off, but I think he's day one wide receiver 2. I think they're going to implement him immediately. I think he's going to fit the scheme, and I think they're going to find a way to get him the ball because he's a playmaker. And at the end of the day, you guys just simply get the ball to your playmaker's hands any way you can. So Jamie French, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know much about him. I've only just recently kind of gotten into high school recruiting type of stuff, so I didn't really know much about him. I had to do some research on him, but based on that research, I do like what I see. So it's always nice to see Michigan be able to bring in a 5-star elite athlete. It's not something that we're really accustomed to seeing. So that's nice. Next man up is somebody that we talked about a couple of days ago, and that's Jonah Lea'ea, the defensive lineman from Utah. And as you might notice, I worked on that name because I butchered it the first time. So kudos to me. But at the time of his signing, which was 2 days ago at this point, defensive line was the biggest need for this team on the defense. Since then, that has become linebacker, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. But coming from Utah, there it is. It's your Kyle Whittingham and scheme connection. You're going to see a bunch of Utes come into town, just like you're going to see a bunch of Cyclones going to Happy Valley, just like you're going to see a bunch of Nittany Lions going to Virginia Tech. It's just the way college football is. But Jonah plays a position of need, and he has legitimate positional versatility. He has the athletic profile to play either that 3-4 or 4-3 scheme. So that versatility is going to be needed, especially if they are not able to retain some of the current defensive linemen that they have in the portal right now, because that's another big issue. At the time of me making this video, I'm not positive of who we've lost altogether, or if they're maybe still in the portal and we're working on retaining them behind the scenes. It's yet to be seen. But as of right now, is he probably a day one starter? I would say so. He's not the flashiest guy either, but he is a consistent starter, and he does have a good athletic profile. And him having that scheme background already is going to give him a little bit of a leg up. It's going to give him a head start compared to the other D linemen on this team. They're going to have to learn a new one from scratch. So I would expect him to be a starter, but on his worst day, he's a really high level, valuable rotational player. So I do, I'm excited to see him. He is undersized a little bit, in my opinion, for his weight to play the interior, but he's strong, and that athleticism kind of makes up for that lack of size. So I'm not really worried about it, but it's just something to kind of look at. And the last kind of um, official signing is actually Brayden Fowler Nicolosi, who I had written him down probably like a week ago as like a potential uh, veteran backup to this team, kind of like how Mikey Keene was this year. Brayden is definitely turnover prone. He had flashes at Colorado State, but was never a super high end starter. But he does have over 6,000 passing yards in his career, which is not nothing. It's valuable experience in a quarterback room that is very lacking in experience. So I would label him as the perfect backup quarterback, right? I don't want him to start games for us. That wouldn't be the most ideal situation, but I do think he's good enough to win a few games if you needed him to, and as long as you didn't ask him to do too much. But that's kind of the name of the game anyway. Your backup quarterback goes in. You're not gonna throw the entire playbook at him and make him execute everything anyway, especially at a run first program like Michigan anyway. So I like the depth. I like the experience. I wouldn't be surprised if they add another quarterback from the portal, to be honest, because you're losing Davis Warren and your other backup number two. I feel like a moron. I'm blanking. Jaden Davis. Thank you. Losing both of those guys and kind of leaving it just to Bryce and Herb Street's kid. Like, it's just not, their depth is not good. You don't want the two incoming freshmen to be the only depth in your team. So Brayden does give you that nice veteran presence. I think it's important. So I like that signing for that reason. A couple of names of interest to strongly look out for, and guys who are what you'd say crystal balled to Michigan right now. JJ Buchanan, the tight end from Utah. Very, dare I say, Colston Loveland-esque, right? He's definitely going to need to put on some weight. He's a little on the leaner side, but he's super athletic. Had over 14 yards of reception, 5 touchdowns at Utah as a true freshman. So I like the idea of bringing him in because it's just another valuable pass catcher for the offense. You can never have too many, but also he has the style of play that I think you could play him more almost like a receiver, and you could run a bunch of 12 personnel with him and alongside maybe Zach Marshall or Tony Ellie, whoever it is. And I think that automatically makes it more difficult to scheme against their offense. And the other name to really look at here is Cade Ulawave from Cal. And he's a linebacker that I spoke about a couple days ago in a possible prospect video. He might not have the ceiling of Cole Sullivan, but his floor is higher. And he's got a bunch of experience. He's got good silent-to-silent speed. He was highly, highly productive at Cal this year. That, like I mentioned when I was speaking on Jonah, was linebacker is the biggest need for this team now. We don't have great depth. We've lost a lot of guys. We lost a starter, so we got to bring these guys in. Both of these guys are heavily favored to go to Michigan right now. So I'm going to have my fingers crossed on that and get more valuable playmakers into this system because we definitely need it. I wouldn't mind another defensive lineman. I wouldn't mind a couple of linebackers, and I wouldn't mind another defensive back either. I still think safety is not being talked about as much as a big need because we've lost a bunch of defensive backs in the portal. So I'd like for them to address that as well. But I'm being patient. They know more about football than I ever will, so I can play couch quarterback and you know be that guy who thinks he knows more, but I don't. But this is just my analysis. Um, I'm excited for the direction of this team. Be cautiously optimistic, but be optimistic nonetheless. This offense, especially, is going to look so much different this coming season. I have no doubt in my mind that Jason Beck is going to make this offense way more competitive. I still like our running back room. I think Bryce is going to take a big leap. I think the scheme is going to be a big reason for that leap. So you're bringing in French and Marsh. I think are a good 1-2 combo. If you can tap into French's potential, and tap into that ceiling. I like the idea of bringing JJ Buchanan in. Let's get him in there. Let's get him acclimated, and let's get him, hitting that weight room a little bit. And I think he'll be a very valuable tight end 1A kind of guy. And couldn't be more excited. I think this team is coming along nicely. The coaching staff's already 100 times better. The roster, yes, we've lost a bunch of dudes in the portal, but I genuinely believe that the guys that we've brought in already are at least just as good in a lot of ways. So besides Justice Haynes and Cole Sullivan, those are the only two massive losses. But I trust Jordan Marshall. I trust Tony Alford to coach up the other running backs. So I'm not too worried about the defense right now. We'll see how it goes with getting more linebackers in there, but I am greatly looking forward to it.